Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Heidi from My Reading Life, and I'm here today to film a tag video. So this is the Mookse and Gripes bucket list book tag, and this was originally created by SHAWN the Book Maniac. I will link his original video down below, and it was based on an interview that he did with one of the gentlemen that operate the Mookse and Gripes podcast. Make sure I get that all right. So I will link Sean's channel doing his original book tag down below. I will link the bite-sized book chat episode where he interviews the gentleman from the Mookse and Gripes podcast. And I would encourage you to watch both those videos and get the backstory for why he created this tag. So the whole point of the tag is for you to give 10 books that are on your bucket list. And bucket list in this case referring to books that you would like to read at some point in your life before you shuffle off this mortal coil. And so I've had a really good time thinking about what books those might be that would be on my top 10 of my bucket list. And I've come up with a group of 10, and they are a mixture of fiction and nonfiction, classics and more contemporary. So let's just get to it. The very first book that's on my bucket list is Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. This is the only Jane Austen that was of her originally published group of books that I have not yet read. So I am very keen to get onto this one. And in fact, the only thing that has stopped me from basically moving on to Mansfield Park is the fact that I don't yet own a hard copy, and I'd really like to read it in its hard copy form. So that one probably won't stay on my bucket list for very much longer once I finally pull the trigger and purchase myself a copy of it. The second book that's on my bucket list book tag, there's Libby again every time, is an actual book series, and this is the Palliser series by Anthony Trollope. I watched Roz from Scally Dandling about the books do her version of this tag, and she also talked about the Palliser novels. I really love the Barset series by Anthony Trollope, and I've read some other standalones by Anthony Trollope. I really enjoy his writing, and I've actually read the first two books in the Palliser series, but for whatever reason, I just haven't gotten back to them. I own them all on ebook, and so it would be easy for me to get to them, but for whatever reason, I just never think to pick them up. So those are definitely on my bucket list. Number 3 is a more contemporary novel, and that is A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles. Now, this is a very popular fiction book. Lots of people have read this book. I feel like I'm one of the few people in the world that has not yet read it. And it sounds like a book that I would like, and I don't know why I haven't picked it up yet, but it's on my bucket list and I will get to it eventually. Then number 4 is a book that I actually do own. This is In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. This is nonfiction, and it's an account of a serial killer. Or actually, shouldn't say serial killer. It's the account of a family who is murdered in Kansas in the 1950s, and Truman Capote reconstructs the murder and what happens and talks about who the killers might be, and it's sort of the first true crime nonfiction book. It's the start of the genre, of the true crime genre. So this one has been on my TBR for ages. I had a different version of this book, and it was kind of gross and nasty, and then I picked this version up at a book sale, and my daughter read it for a class that she had last year, and it's gotten kind of worn, but I still really, really like this particular edition. So definitely looking forward to getting into that one at some point. Then number 5 is another sort of contemporary, sort of modern classic. This is A Clockwork Orange by Anthony Burgess, and I believe this is sort of a dystopian type piece of fiction. I'm not really sure. It says on the back here that it's a frightening fable about good and evil and the meaning of human freedom. When the state undertakes to reform Alex to redeem him, the novel asks, at what cost? And I know that there was a very good movie made about this, which I have not seen either. So both of those things can be on my bucket list. I hardly ever watch the movies that are made from books. Number 6 on my list is a long classic, and that's Vanity Fair And I didn't write down the author, and I'm blanking on it, but I will put a picture up here, and everybody's heard of Vanity Fair. William Makepeace Thackeray is the author of Vanity Fair. And it is a chunker, but I've had many people that I trust and actually know in real life tell me that they read this book and really enjoyed it, and they think that I would like it. So eventually I am going to get to it. Eventually I'm going to pull that trigger and pick up yet another chunky classic. Number 7 on my list is a book that I actually have already read, but I would like to reread it because I first read it when I was a freshman in college, and I honestly don't think that I got everything out of the book that I was meant to, and that is Beloved by Toni Morrison. I don't need to tell you about Beloved by Toni Morrison. It is a beloved novel, and obviously a great American novel. And like I said, I did read it in college, but I do not remember anything about the story other than I really didn't like it very much. And I think that's probably due to the fact that I was not yet experienced enough in the world or in my reading to appreciate a book of that caliber. So I definitely want to revisit Beloved. Then number 8 is another nonfiction, and this is Working by Studs Terkel. This is a oral history of work in America. And it looks at jobs and the people that do those jobs. He interviewed tons and tons of people. You can see this is an extremely chunky book and text wicked small. But I do really enjoy an oral history, and Kazan from Always Doing read this last year, I think, and really I was impressed with her process for reading this book. And so this one is on my bucket list for me to get to when I finally work up the courage to start something that's that humongous. Then number 9 is another book series, and it's one that I've already started, but I need to finish it, and that is The Gunslinger. This is the Dark Tower series. The Gunslinger is the first book by Stephen King. For those of you who've been watching my channel for a long time, you will know that I am a humongous Stephen King fan. I read all of his books as they come out, and I collect them all. But for whatever reason, when the Gunslinger books were coming, when the Dark Tower books were coming out, because the series is complete at this point, I just could not get into them. And so I've actually read The Gunslinger twice now. And I've read this version, which is the original copy, and I've read the revised version that came out, I think, in the 90s. And I need to continue on with the series, and I just haven't. But, again, it's on the bucket list for a reason. I will be a completist for Stephen King before I die, hopefully, as long as I don't die unexpectedly. I really love the way that Stephen King tells a story. So this one I will be getting to at some point. And then last but not least is a book that's been on my TBR for many years now. And there is a very good reason why I have not yet picked it up. And that is Nixon Land by Rick Perlstein. This is the book that I will read when I finally get to Richard Nixon in my presidential reading challenge. Somewhere along the way, I read a really excellent review of Nixon Land, and I think it was by Stephen King himself who reviewed it and said it was just an excellent piece of nonfiction. But I don't want to read it out of order because I'm reading all my presidential biographies in order, and I'm stuck on Grover Cleveland, so I'm not even out of the 1800s yet. So it's going to be a while before I get to Nixon. But when I do finally get there, I will have this, again, very chunky, but very much anticipated piece of nonfiction that's all about, this is sort of the period of Nixon's career in the 1960s and 1970s, and chronicles Nixon's rise from sort of obscurity to the presidency and then his downfall. So yeah, this says that it won the 2001 Los Angeles Times Book Prize for History. So that's cool. Anyway, that's my 10 books that are on my bucket list. I'm sure I could have added, another another heap of them. There's so many books to read and so little time, right? I am not going to tag anyone, but if you're watching this and you would like to do the tag, if it sounds interesting to you, please consider yourself tagged. The nice thing about a book tag like this is that, it's doesn't require very much from you in the way of preparation. And everybody has books that they mean to get to someday. So I think everybody could respond to this tag pretty easily. Thank you very much, Sean, for tagging me. Also, please check out the Mookse and Gripes podcast. It's pretty great. I actually listened to the episode that was about their bucket list choices, and I found it very, very interesting. So I can definitely recommend it. I hope you're all doing well and finding some great books to read, and I will talk to you later.